So you got out there, you voted. Now the results are rolling in from the presidential primaries to the state Senate race and local races. We have you covered with the winners and those close races. But let's start off with the results in the primary for Commander-in-Chief. President Biden took the Golden State with ease. He swept through Super Tuesday in the continental U.S. Former President Trump, meanwhile, the projected winner of the California primary. Nikki Haley only receiving 18% of the vote thus far. And this morning, Haley announced that she is suspending her campaign. She spoke to supporters just a couple of hours ago.
I sought the honor of being your president. But in our great country, being a private citizen is privilege enough in itself. And that's a privilege I very much look forward to enjoying.
Now, Haley did not endorse President Trump for the Republican nomination. It remains unclear if she plans to do so. Her decision to leave the race leaves Donald Trump as the last remaining major candidate for the 2024 Republican nomination. And with Haley out of the race, Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell is throwing his support behind former President Trump. McConnell set to step down as the Republican leader in the Senate at the end of the year. And just 15 minutes after Haley's comments, President Biden issued the following statement that reads in part, quote, "It takes a lot of courage to run for president. That's especially true in today's Republican Party, where so few dare to speak the truth about Donald Trump." He goes on to say that Donald Trump made it clear he doesn't want Nikki Haley's supporters. "I want to be clear," he says. "There is a place for them in my campaign. I know there's a lot we won't agree on. I hope and believe we can find common ground."
And another major race for California voters was the decision on who will fill the Senate seat of the late Dianne Feinstein. Out of the four leading candidates, it'll be Democrat Adam Schiff and Republican Steve Garvey advancing to the general election in November. Both winning candidates gave speeches last night, but one of them was interrupted by protesters.
So you had a chance to meet my wonderful wife, Eve.
Now, that was a big moment from last night after the race was called. And this morning, we welcome political analyst Mike Lurie. Mike, thanks for being here.
My
Always
pleasure.
good to see you.
Good to be here.
A big moment for sure. We're seeing these kinds of protests more and more often, but why was that one different?
Well, I've been covering elections for a long time, but I've never, ever before seen a winning candidate give a victory speech and get interrupted in the middle of the speech by protesters. And Adam Schiff looked like a deer in the headlights. He looked like he didn't know what to do. It was, a very interesting moment, and one that was not good optics for him at all. We're going to see that clip, I'm sure, over and over and over again between now and November during the election. But what's interesting about that, he's a very strong Israel supporter. The protesters were shouting about free Palestine and all of that. And that's an issue that really divides the Democratic Party, and it has waves that can go across the country. We saw that in Minnesota last night, where 18% of the voters voted for uncommitted as opposed to Joe Biden. And the same in Michigan, where 13% of the voters voted uncommitted as opposed to Joe Biden. And that portends trouble for the Democrats, because we're talking about 100,000 voters in Michigan in a key, pivotal, battleground state. And if those people, those 100,000 Democrats, are not voting for Joe Biden, well, that spells trouble for them potentially in November.
This is an issue that a lot of young voters are really passionate about, this Israel-Hamas war, especially.
Right.
How do you think it's going to impact things for Adam Schiff specifically moving forward?
Well, he's got an advantage in California, having a 2-to-1 Democratic over Republican advantage. So the numbers favor him. But, we're starting to see him shift a little bit. I saw that today. He's now coalescing more towards Joe Biden's stance of let's have a ceasefire, let's try to get a bilateral agreement. So he's pivoting a little bit also to become more sort of aligned with some of the Democratic principles. But we'll see what happens between now and November. It's a very fluid game.
Indeed. We also want to talk about the statewide proposition. It was the only one on the ballot, Prop 1. If it passes, it would expand the state's mental health system. So right now, the results, as you can see here, folks at home, they are basically split down the middle. What's hanging in the balance ultimately here?
So we're talking about $6.4 billion worth of spending to get more housing, more facilities for mental health facilities, and that's an important issue. Governor Newsom campaigned very aggressively on this. He barnstormed all across the state and said this is something that he believed in. There was more than $13 million worth of advertising put up. We saw a lot of law enforcement support, including Sacramento Sheriff Jim Cooper. So he had all the arsenal at his advantage there, including all this ad spending, with no real organized opposition. And yet, despite that, well, you saw the numbers. It's razor-thin margin of victory. There's only like 30,000 votes between the yes and no, and still many votes left to be counted. So that's a very precarious situation for the governor, who put a lot of political capital into that Prop 1.
Yeah, for sure. We got about 1 minute left. We've got 2 questions we still want to get to. So let's talk about Sacramento specifically. Right now, as you can see the results, Dr. Richard Pan in the lead. What's most surprising about this race?
Well, first of all, the fact that it was so tight. You know, there's 3 people that are very close to each other. Anything could happen. We still have a lot of votes coming in. And Dr. Pan, he's well known, obviously, in the community from having served in the state Senate and state assembly before that. But he wasn't very active in the campaign process. Didn't see a lot of signs out there on yards and things like that. So for him to be coalescing into the #1 position, that's a bit of a surprise. But there's still a lot of votes left to be counted.
Indeed. Also, staying in Sacramento, Measure C. That is something right now voters are saying no to. This ultimately would impact business taxes. Is any of this surprising?
Not really, considering the fact that Sacramento has a $65 million deficit, and now we're talking about, you know, putting a higher tax on businesses. A lot of them said no, we're not going to do that. It wasn't a really well-crafted plan, and not surprising that this happened.
All right, Mike, thank you for being here. Always
My
appreciate
pleasure.
your perspective for
You
sure.
bet.
Mike, back over to you.
All right, thanks so much. And this morning in San Joaquin County, there's still a lot of votes to be counted, and it appears that some of the top races in the county won't be decided until November. KCR3's Leticia Ordaz is in Stockton with the latest.
Good morning. There was the low voter turnout in Stockton, but that's not discouraging to a lot of people because many people did come out to voice their concerns looking for change. One of those races was in the mayor's race, and right now Tom Patty is leading with 35% of the vote. Christina Fugazi has nearly 24% of the vote. When all of the votes are counted, if no one gets 50% plus 1 of the vote, the top 2 vote getters will face off in November. For the Congressional District 9, incumbent Democrat Josh Harder is currently leading among the candidates and is expected to advance to the November race. In second is Republican and current Stockton Mayor Kevin Lincoln. Regardless of the results, Lincoln is not looking to keep his seat as the mayor of Stockton. And we are told elections workers were here until 2 this morning. So as you can imagine, they need a lot of copy this morning, but they're back at it once again, beginning to count those ballots. The next release isn't expected to happen until this Friday after 5 p.m. In Stockton, Leticia Ordaz, KCRA 3 News.
Leticia, thanks so much for that live report. Right now, you can see all of the results and hear from the winners of yesterday's voting on the KCRA 3 app. We do have all of our coverage with updated results as they come in. You can also find that on our website, kcra.com.